Welcome, deep divers. Okay, just picture this. A world completely on the brink, yeah. You've got this ancient swirling magic,
Mm.
um, just about to collide head-on with mortal will.
It's intense. Kingdoms are teetering. Time itself feels like it's frozen.
Yeah, holding its breath. And the fate of everything, like existence, hangs on this huge cosmic decision.
Yeah.
It's really a moment of just grand, world-altering chaos.
It really is the kind of high-stakes scenario that defines epic fantasy, isn't it? Every single choice, every battle feels like it could just unravel reality.
Totally.
And what's so compelling, I think, is how these massive world-level stakes are just so deeply tied to individual people, their suffering, their courage.
Absolutely, and that's exactly where we're plunging in today. We're doing a deep dive into Tad Williams' The Green Angel Tower Part 2. You've shared your sources, and our mission, really, is to cut through all the complexity, extract those vital nuggets of knowledge, those key insights. Think of this as your shortcut, to really getting the dramatic conclusion of this incredible saga.
We're going to navigate a real labyrinth of character journeys, uncover the pretty chilling details of this huge, cataclysmic, magical plot,
Yeah.
and really witness the personal triumphs and, well, tragedies that define the climax. We'll explore not just what happens, but really dig into why it all matters.
So get ready for some maybe surprising facts, moments of genuine insight, and a story that reveals the staggering cost and also that fragile, hard-won hope of saving an entire world. So let's dive into the shadow of the Storm King.
Let's do it.
Osten Ard, at this point, it's in just dire straits. The sources paint such a grim picture. Widespread war, famine everywhere, this overwhelming sense of terror just hanging in the air.
Yeah, and Duke Isgrimnir, ever the pragmatist, he sums it up so bleakly, doesn't he? Saying they're merely making more feasts for the vultures.
Oof, that hits hard. It's not just about the physical war, is it?
Not at all. That line just sets this profoundly weary tone. It's like a war on the spirit itself, just grinding down hope. But what really elevates the stakes beyond just, who wins the land are these three legendary blades, Brightnail, Thorn, and Sorrow.
The great swords, right?
And they aren't just powerful weapons, they're keys to a much darker purpose.
Okay, let's break those down. Brightnail, that was Prester John's sword, right?
Yeah.
Also called Miniar, contains like a nail from the holy tree and a finger bone from St. Elstan. Pretty intense artifact.
Definitely. Then you've got Thorn, the famous sword of the legendary knight Chimerus.
Who everyone thought was dead.
Exactly. And then Sorrow, the sword King Elias now wields. So how do these fit into the Storm King's grand design?
Yeah, with a plan.
Well, the troll Binabik, he puts it quite well later. He calls it a complicated game for making us bring the remaining swords.
So it's not just about grabbing them, it's about getting others to bring them together.
Precisely. It's about a magical confluence. These swords, they have this inherent power, this resonance, and bringing them together is absolutely necessary for this specific ancient ritual that the villain, Priorites, has been meticulously setting up. They're like pieces on a chessboard, really, being moved by forces the players don't fully understand.
And speaking of those forces, let's talk about the architects of this whole cataclysm. King Elias, once a powerful ruler, now just completely tangled up in madness and grief. He seems less like a king and more like a puppet, doesn't he?
Absolutely. And what's crucial to grasp is that Elias, for all his power, isn't the real big bad here. He's actually a tragic figure, his grief totally exploited.
So who's pulling the strings?
The real orchestrator is Priorites, that sinister alchemist, the Red Priest. He's the Storm King's agent on the ground, methodically weaving Elias's downfall, pushing everything towards this final catastrophe. He leverages Elias's despair, to unleash this ancient, malevolent power.
Chilling. And then, lurking in the background, you have Utukuset Hamaka, the Norn queen, leader of those ancient, sort of terrifyingly magical beings.
Her domain under Nakiga might seem silent, but her mind channeled through that eerie breathing harp is actively weaving what the text calls the final step of their centuried scheme.
Centuried. So this isn't some sudden plan. This has been in the works for, well, centuries.
Exactly, which raises the big question, what is this centuried scheme? The sources tease this horrifying ritual called the Five Houses.
Okay, the Five Houses. What's the goal?
Its purpose, chillingly, is to harness the great fear, all the terror and death happening, and almost unbelievably, to turn time itself, roll backward in its rut.
Whoa. Roll back time. That's not just about winning a war.
Not even close. It's a deliberate attempt to unmake reality itself. It shows the ultimate terrifying goal of this ancient evil it's seeking oblivion, not just conquest.
Wow. Truly a chilling vision. Okay, so as that shadow grew, it was the individual heroes, their really fraught journeys that defined the struggle, right? Let's get into their paths, starting with Simon. His transformation is, well, it's pretty remarkable.
Simon's path is just a crucible, isn't it? Suffering and revelation from those harrowing escapes up in the White Waste saved by Binabik and his wolf.
Yeah, Kontaka.
Yeah. To his brutal captivity under that monster, Inch, he's constantly tested. That image of him toiling at the massive water wheel with those mysterious chains vanishing up into the cavern roof.
Right. What were those chains even for?
It really highlights his isolation and these unseen, sinister gears turning behind the scenes. But even there, he finds these unexpected little helps, like Stanhelm, the forge worker.
But Simon's journey takes this really pivotal, almost mystical turn here. He has this experience like a kind of death on the wheel, which leads to this profound dream vision. He meets the angel from the tower and the spirit of Megwin. And Megwin, who's weary and can't return, she reveals Green Angel Tower and says Naglimund is the fourth house. This isn't just a dream, is it? It feels symbolic.
Oh, absolutely. It's the first real moment where his personal suffering aligns with the world's larger fate. This internal shift from being a passive victim to becoming an active, though still pretty reluctant hero, that's crucial.
And then things happen fast.
Right. His miraculous escape from the wheel, and then almost immediately finding Brightnail in the hands of the blind, feverish Earl Guthwolf. It feels less like luck and more like destiny nudging him along.
And then the big reunion. Simon desperately fighting those fire dancers led by Mephoru and finally reuniting with Miriamele, Binabik, and Kontaka.
A great moment.
Yeah. But even in the relief, Simon feels this internal conflict. He's frustrated with his friends, sure, but he's got this focused, seething hatred now for the real enemies. Inch, Elias, Utuku, Pryrates. It's a new kind of anger for him.
And Miriamele's journey is just as compelling. She really asserts her own agency. We first meet her as this increasingly unwilling guest of Lord Aspidus Pros.
Ugh, Aspidus.
Her rebellion, escaping with the monk Kadrak and Ganitai, the Niski, that really sets her on this path towards independence, shedding those royal constraints.
Her path is full of these complex relationships, too. With Simon, obviously, there's all that simmering tension, the unspoken feelings, plus her struggle with just being royalty. And she has that really interesting encounter with the dwarves Ysfidri and Yshadra. They warn her about a perilous place in this exceeding delicate balance, and their whole philosophy, it is not our way fighting.
Which is fascinating. And what's also fascinating is how Kadrak, who seems like just a companion at first, turns out to hold these vital secrets.
Right. He knows about Brightnail being Miniar, and Pryrates' plan to let the swords be gathered by others.
Exactly. It shows how even flawed, terrified people can play these crucial sort of redemptive roles. It's a great commentary on finding courage where you least expect it.
Then there's Josua, Prince Josua, carrying this immense weight of leadership. We see him in big battles, like defending Siswadar against Duke Fengbald.
Fengbald's humiliating defeat in the ice, yeah. Classic.
But it's his alliance with the Sithi, those ancient, magical forest dwellers led by Jiriki and his rather stern mother Likimea, that's really critical. They bring these ancient magical techniques like the Mian Rashi, these powerful energy blasts, to the siege of Naglimund.
And that just fundamentally changes the game, doesn't it? Warfare shifts. The Norns' mystical defenses at Naglimund, like a hesitancy spell, basically magical paralysis and shadow mastery, manipulating light and illusion.
Oh, wow.
It turns the siege into this bewildering clash of raw magic. Mortals like Eolair are just baffled. It's not just swords and arrows anymore.
And you really feel the personal cost for Josua, too. His grief over the witch woman Gelowi's mysterious death, Aditu says she was dying, but vanished, stranger than you know.
Yeah, that's haunting.
It's palpable. Josua feels shaped by a hammer of pain on an anvil of duty. It's such a powerful line. Yet, amidst all that, he has the bittersweet joy of becoming a father to twins with Forgiva. She's described as a strong Thrithings-woman.
A little light in the darkness for him. And then there's Chimaris, the legendary lost knight, introduced as this witless old simpleton and inn doorkeeper.
Yeah, everyone thought he was dead for decades.
And his gradual recovery, reaccepting Thorn, it brings him torment as the great swords sing to him. But he becomes this incredible inspiration in Josua's army, fighting with this terrifying ferocity, fiercer than he ever was, apparently in battles like Onstrime Pass. His return is like legend made real, but also shows the burden of that legend.
And then we have to touch on one of the saga's most just, Heartbreaking personal tragedies. Eolair and Maegwyn.
Oh, Maegwyn.
Eolair goes back to Hernister with Isorn and just sees his homeland utterly devastated. Meanwhile, Princess Megan's grief drives her into madness, believing she's living with gods, obsessed with Naglimund as the hole in heaven.
Her story ends so tragically, dying in the snows of Naglimund. And Simon, completely unaware, delivers her final thoughts to Eolair.
The only thing she regretted leaving was you, Count Eolair. She
Yeah.
loved you.
Awful. Knowing that too late just compounds Eolair's sorrow, his feeling of being abandoned by the gods. It really underscores the deep personal cost of all this cosmic conflict. Individual hearts are just shattered.
Amidst all the magic and fighting, though, we also have the quiet heroes, the scholars. Tiamat and Stranger, the scroll bearers. They're diligently researching ancient lore, questioning everything, acting as these intellectual anchors in the chaos.
Tiamat finds real joy in having a fellow searcher for meaning. It highlights the power of just thinking, questioning together.
And their research, which people probably dismiss, turns out to be vital. Plus, Cadrak's unexpected deep knowledge of the swords and Pryre's schemes, even though he shares it under duress.
Just proves indispensable. It shows that crucial knowledge can pop up from the most unlikely places, right? Even a repentant betrayer can hold the keys.
Okay, the stage is set, the heroes are converging. Now we ascend into the heart of the storm. Green Angel Tower, the final reckoning. The Hayholt's hidden underworld is described as this labyrinth of tunnels, hidden passageways, corridors. Like Gorming-esque. Can you imagine exploring that? Centuries of secrets under the seat of power.
And the journey through Josua, the ancient Sithi palace underneath? Wow, vast chambers carved out of living rock, spiderweb stairways, rooms sculpted like landscapes. Josua and Tiamat are just stunned.
Yeah.
But what's unsettling is a D2's observation. Something is awake here in Josua that should not be awake. It has given a semblance of life to what should not have one. The place itself feels alive, but wrong. Corrupted.
Which leads us right to Pryrate's ritual. Turns out the Norns are inside the Hayholt, despite what they thought. Pryrate's kicks off the horrifying 5 houses ritual right there in Green Angel Tower. This great invisible bell sounds, crashing like a hammer in a god's smithy. The whole tower shakes.
This ritual connects those mystical locations. The houses of traveling beyond. The Turzerborg, Hasuvale, Stormspike, Naglimund, and finally the Pool of 3 Depths in Green Angel Tower.
And the purpose again.
Pryrate's goal is to channel all the strength of fright and fury generated by the war straight to the Storm King, unleashing total chaos and making time itself roll backward. It's pure cosmic nihilism, destroying existence.
The visible signs are terrifying red lights, blue lights surging from the floor, the whole place trembling. It's a full-on magical assault on reality. And then the final confrontation.
We see King Elias wielding sorrow, just consumed by pain and hatred. But then, for a split second, a flicker of recognition for Miriamele, heartbreaking.
Yeah, the man he was.
And Chimeras, forced by Thorn, struggles against it, crying, "God, forgive me, I have failed you again." As the swords clash, you feel the terrible weight of destiny on him.
And Simon, holding Brightnail, feels its vaulting spirit, its music, but also this growing dread. Something bad is happening, something very bad. It shows the swords aren't just tools. They have wills, dangerous power, pushing Simon towards a fate he never asked for.
But it's Miriamele who performs the desperate final act. As the tower crumbles, Elias twisting into something monstrous, she fires the white arrow of the Sithi.
And kills her own father. Just, wow. A daughter forced into that ultimate sacrifice for the world.
What follows, then, is Simon's internal fight. He feels this impossibly cold something scrabbling inside him, a piece of the Storm King trying to take refuge.
But Simon rejects it. You do not belong here. That powerful rejection seals the Storm King's defeat right there inside him.
And then the tower falls. Green Angel Tower collapses, signifying the end of the Storm King's reign. A massive turning point for Osten Ard.
Cataclysmic ending, but also a hopeful, maybe uncertain beginning.
Exactly.
So emerging from the rubble, a new dawn. Simon survives, recovers. He has that joyful reunion with Kontaka and his horse, Homefinder, amidst the wreckage.
Good old Homefinder.
And Cadrak, the complicated monk, performs one last redemptive act, guiding them out. Miriamele recognizes, in his way, he loved me. A quiet moment of grace for him.
This next phase is all about destiny, isn't it? Embracing it or rejecting it. Simon confronts the shocking truth about his lineage. He's descended from Saint Elstanfiskern, the Fisher King.
Which isn't just about being royal blood.
No, it connects him directly to this legendary figure whose spirit is tied to the land's healing. He's the true prophesied dragon slayer, not just of a literal dragon, but of the blight on the world.
But Simon, true to form, is having none of it. I am a scullion. None of that has anything to do with who my great-great, however many greats grandfather was. He sees it as a pretty tale, a burden, not something he wants.
It really speaks to his grounded nature, doesn't it? His struggle with this destiny just thrust upon him.
But practicality intrudes. Isgruner argues basically, Erkenland needs a ruler. And Simon is well-liked and well-known, and he has the bloodline. It makes sense politically.
Right, the weight of responsibility versus personal desire.
And then Miriamele has this incredibly raw, emotional outburst. She confesses her terror of going back to royal life, calling it a prison. She begs Simon to just run away with her, and finally says, I don't care if you were a kitchen boy. I only want you, Simon.
It's beautiful, so vulnerable.
So it shows that even saving the world comes down to personal connection, to love.
And Prince Josua, with his quiet wisdom, sees their combined strength. He recognizes they're suited to rule together, which leads to Simon and Miriamele standing arm in arm. The world calls him Snowlock. She's soon to be married. They're poised to start a new era.
A shared future built on sacrifice and understanding the burdens they now carry.
It's not all politics, though. There are some poignant farewells. Jiriki, Aditu, like Amaya, the Sithi, they need to go home to heal, but they promise future meetings, more games of Shent.
Yeah.
And Aditu gives Simon that really profound advice. Remember these moments always, but do not ignore the sad times either. Memory is the greatest of gifts. A reminder that wisdom needs both joy and sorrow.
And Binabik, loyal Binabik, reaffirms his deep friendship with Simon, promises a future Utku embassy to the trolls, shows that core relationships endure, even through massive upheaval.
Even Rachel, the former mistress of chambermaids, offers this grounded perspective. She notes the public thinks all would be made right, but she recognizes the huge, grand task of rebuilding that's actually ahead.
Yeah, the real work is just starting. And Eolair, mourning Megwin, now knowing she loved him, he begins that difficult journey towards healing and joining his friends.
And Josua, having seen his kids born, the main threat gone, he sort of recedes. His sacrifice and leadership have paved the way, allowing the next generation, Simon and Miriamele, to step up.
It's a powerful conclusion for so many, even those stepping back.
Yeah.
Shows heroism isn't always about being center stage, right?
Absolutely. It's about fulfilling your part, whatever it may be.
Wow. What an epic journey we've taken through the end of the Green Angel Tower Part 2. We've really seen how individual lives full of pain, love, incredibly hard choices intersected with this conflict on a truly cosmic scale.
And while the Storm King is gone, the dragons are slain, as they say. The real work, that grand task Rachel mentioned, of rebuilding, defining the future, that's only just beginning. The ending isn't really an end.
No, it's a complex, hopeful, but definitely hard-earned new beginning. So what does this all mean for you listening in? In a world where ancient prophecies can feel like a trap, where these huge malevolent forces try to control destiny, what does it actually mean for individuals like Simon and Miriamele to make their own choices, to find love in the middle of chaos, and to carry that immense weight of memory, both personal and collective?
It's a lot to think about. The end of one story, as we've definitely seen here, is so often just the start of many, many more.
We hope you enjoyed this deep dive.